Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. Once again, I'm Bradley, and joining me this week, I've been sending him direct messages asking to see his Elden Ring. But he was like, I don't want to show you my Elden Ring. That's my own Elden Ring. I'm not showing. But would you like to see my Forbidden West? I was like, yeah, do you know what? I do want to see your Forbidden West. So we got to look at his Forbidden West. It's Stu. How you doing, Stu?
Pretty good. Yeah, no, I had so many jokes with that Elden Ring game. I can't believe they let that one through, as it were. It's crazy. But yeah, it's fun to talk about, even though neither of us have played it. There you go.
No. Well, I did want to do, it's either that or I was going to go down the invading of the Ukraine stuff. And I thought, you know what, that's too politically charged even for me.
Oh, I know. I'm just pretending it's not happening. Not to denigrate the people of the Ukraine and their suffering, because I stand with them.
Yes.
But apart from that, I'm just pretending it doesn't exist. Because I've done the whole, I'll worry about something and then, there'll be something I can do about it or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I've been doing that for over 40 years and it doesn't make any difference. And, as a very quick tangent, I heard that, read somewhere that people who worry about something and then that thing happens don't have any less stress than the people who don't worry about it and then it happens. So it's like, it's pointless to think about it. So that's my new philosophy.
Yeah. I won't worry. I was like, can we just a month? Just have a month. Everything's okay. Just a month. Oh. And they do your shit.
That would be so nice.
I mean, let's at least celebrate COVID being over. Oh, wait, I'm just checking my notes. No, it's not actually over.
Yeah.
Stop reading the news. But yeah, no, it's all fun and games.
I know. Do
you know what is actually fun and games?
What?
Video games.
Segway. That's right.
That's one of my better segues of recent weeks.
It's pretty good.
I know. Do you know what? I don't plan the segues either. I mean, not that you could tell, but I don't plan the segues. I just wait till I say something in my head and go, right, that's a segue.
Yeah.
They're usually not, but I try and make something happen.
Well, you're a professional.
Yeah, I am. Support us on Patreon.
That would be nice.
What have you been playing, Stu?
So, for my first game, it is not a Mega Drive game, and it is not a retro game. So I'm breaking the whole pattern wide open this week.
Is it a modern Game Boy game?
Yeah. No, it's not even that. It's not a retro throwback. It's actually a proper, substantial, genuine modern game, and it's part of something you'll be talking about, which is this Steam highlight, whatever they call it. I can't remember, but
Steam Next Fest.
That's the one. Yeah, it's part of that, and it's called Neon White. And what it is it's just a demo for now, obviously, because it's part of this.
Oh, is that the Ghost Runner-y type parkour first-person thing?
That's exactly what it is, yes. Yeah, and long-term listeners to the podcast will know that, bizarrely, from out of nowhere, kind of in a weird way, it's one of my favourite genres. It's one of the most niche genres available, and I absolutely adore it. And Ghost Runner is one of my games of the last decade, and I absolutely loved Mirror's Edge. It just fired off all the synapses in my brain.
Yeah.
And yeah, this seems to be really good. So it's hard to tell from the demo, but it seems to have done in a kind of a speedrunny kind of thing of each level. So it's split into very short, at the moment at least, very distinct levels where you have to get through a particular set of obstacles, and you have to use the abilities, and then you get out of it and you get you see your time, you see how long it took you, and you get ranked based on that time. So it does seem to be like rather than it being a narrative experience, it's just a fun kind of blast thing, and you go through different puzzly style levels and use your abilities. And it's not one of those I need to go on much about. I'll just talk about the differences really. So far, no wall running, which is a bit. It's kind of weird after playing Ghost Runner to go back and not have wall running. Maybe it's going to be introduced, in later levels. There's absolutely a good chance of that because you get lots and lots and lots of different types of abilities as you play in the demo. Secondly, it's not really combat focused, although there is combat. So it plays out with you gain cards, so they're pickups through the level.
Okay, interest peaked. Yeah.
Yeah, cards.
It's a deck build. It's just wait. So are you telling me we've got a deck building first-person parkour game?
Kind of.
Okay, let's carry on. Sorry, I won't interrupt again. I'm really peaked now. Let's go.
Yeah, well, you'll like it, yeah, just because cards are good. It does something with, they're just pickups, but it does something with them in that it's very minor kind of overlay, but, obviously you can have several in the deck, as it were, and you can flip between them, and you have a discard ability as well as its main ability. So there's one ability where you use it and it's just hacking and slashing is the main ability, but its sub ability is to give you a double jump. So you jump and then you press the discard button and you do a second jump, and each card has a number of uses, and depending on the power of the card, that number of uses changes.
Yeah,
but all that sounds really complex, but it's really easy in actual play, and it's just to prevent. It's like that feeds into the puzzle aspect of it. So it's like you can only reach certain areas with certain cards, and they only have a certain number of uses. So you can't just like spam through an area. You have to use it cleverly and as smoothly as you can. So yeah. Other than that, it's pretty much as it sounds. The only other thing to bring up is that it looks lovely. I got a very... it's really weird. When you're adjacent to a game, so you know of it, but you never play it, and you just see the promotional material. I would say it looks like Persona, but I don't really play Persona, so I can't say it absolutely does.
I'm looking at footage of it now, and the character designs and that kind of graphic style of that side of it is a bit of Persona-y. But it kind of, looking at the worlds, it looks like almost like the Talos principle mixed with Mirror's Edge in terms of it's a very clean but ancient at the same time. Yeah. Ancient architecture type stuff, but in a very clean Mirror's Edge style sanitized environment. It's a really weird look.
It is. It's a really good one. The only thing that I could compare it to was it looks a bit like Sky Sanctuary level from Sonic. That's in Sonic and Knuckles, I think, but it's also in Sonic Generations. It looks like that, a little bit like Marble Zone from the first game, but more like Sky Sanctuary, really. So it's like the back, I think whose background is it? Kami's background in Street Fighter 03.
I would have to take your on that one.
I have these weird flashbacks to stuff. It's just best ignore me. It's kind of got that Greek thing of an incredibly clean blue sky and incredibly white buildings. Yeah. And it's gorgeous looking. The cutscenes are really annoying. They're really teenage and very anime, and they're done with American voice actors. I'm really hoping you can change the voice. Yeah, really hoping you can change the voice to Japanese or anything else. But anyway, as a demo,
they wear are really cool though.
Yeah.
I someone on Etsy is going to make those and sell those masks, aren't they? They've got to.
Yeah, they are really, really good. Yeah, it's only a small thing comparatively, but really good. And just reminded me that the only other touch points really are kind of like Killer 7 and No More Heroes, Grasshopper Studios stuff. It looks a little bit like that as well, but less cluttered. So it's a really, really good demo, and I'm looking forward to the full thing.
Yeah, it's Annapurna Interactive, so that immediately strikes me as there's something there. Regardless of whether it's for everyone, there's something there. I know people might... I would go, they've got such a good hit rate. People might point to 12 minutes and stuff like that and go, oh, it's not that good. 12 minutes, people went hard bad on that because of certain twists it done, the way it dealt with certain things. It was still a competent game that was made well. Regardless of what you thought of the output of it, it's still done certain things well. So Annapurna Interactive have got a really good hit rate with games, and I think I might give this one a go.
Yep, I think it might hit the right buttons for you, as it were.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to play the demo or just wait now, because
Yeah.
you've sold it to me, so I don't need the demo to sell it to me.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Sometimes it's just seeing it running is enough, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, well, when I cover the Steam Next Fest stuff at the end, because it links into mental health, actually, the Steam Next Fest stuff, I'm really intrigued with what that's done with my ADHD. But I'll talk about some of the stuff I've been playing and why I've definitely avoided some stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I'm up for that. I'm glad you mentioned that one. I think that's, you may well have got them, if not another sale, at least another bit of coverage.
Excellent. Yeah, I think
Because I will request that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, cool, like that. So moving on, I've been playing 2 different games this week, and when I was actually putting together some minor notes, it was I've been playing 2 games that couldn't be more complete opposites if they tried, and when I come to the second game, you'll realise why. So the first game I've been playing is a game called 35mm, and it's not a Nicolas Cage affair. Don't worry about that. That's a very niche reference.
It is.
Did you ever see that 35mm?
I think so. Is that
a really good film?
Yeah.
It's the 35mm came out around the same sort of time as Snake Eyes, and he plays a detective who's looking for people who are doing stuff films.
Yeah.
And Joaquin Phoenix plays a sex shop owner. And it's just a really, like, one of Nicolas Cage's more subdued films, and there's a guy in a gimp mask chasing him around the house as well, which is just, it's Nicolas Cage. Watch it if you haven't. It's a really good film.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is nothing to do with that. But I saw the title and went, ooh. But no, what this is a post-apocalyptic story, this one. And I don't know where it's meant to be set. It's made by a developer who looks like the language is Cyrillic.
Oh, Cyrillic, yeah.
Yeah. What did I say? Acrylic?
Yeah.
Acrylic's a plastic, innit? Type thing.
Yeah, acrylic, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely that Eastern Bloc there. I probably should have done a bit more research. But anyway, what you've got here is a post-apocalyptic film about a couple of travellers who are going on a long journey after this event. And there's a global pandemic. Tell me if you've heard all this before. And it's basically, it's almost like a walking simulator in the vein of like What Remains of Edith Finch and games like that. And but it's set in this like sort of like really dark, atmospheric journey through the Eastern Bloc. And there's some slight minor survival horror stuff in there and some minor FPS stuff in there, but it's a walking simulator essentially. Now this came out in 2016. Didn't know about it, ignored it, never heard of it, don't know why. It looks right up my alley. And it's weird talking about sort of like post-apocalyptic in the Eastern Bloc just after a pandemic and stuff like that. That's a bit too close to home at the moment, isn't it? It's it's like it's almost prophetic.
Bizarre.
But anyway, yeah, so playing this, and it's interesting. So the reason I played it is come out on the Switch. So I've been playing the Switch version of it, headphones on, all of that. The atmosphere, the sound design, everything's superb. Visually, looks lovely. Obviously, a lot of games have moved on in the last 6 years, but it still looks lovely. And story-wise, it's got a good story. I'm not going to say anything about it because with these games, you've got to play it to get the story. Any kind of spoiler, any even little thing you say can ruin these games for people if they want to go into them. So just play it. Some bugs in there, which were caused me to restart a couple of times. Not like restart the entire like from scratch in the game, but I have to like quit the game and like boot back up, and I had to repeat maybe about 5 minutes worth of stuff in it. It's got a decent checkpoint in actually. It moves at a plodding pace, and I was okay with that. Now I've seen some complaints about the pacing of the game, but if you're in what I consider sort of like last few humans left on Earth type affair and, you know, you're on a long journey, I don't think you're rushing about.
No.
You kind of are taking it carefully because you don't know what's there. And it does hint stuff. There's a lot of stuff. When there's survival horror, you don't want to rush because you don't know where you're going and you want to be careful. It's why Metro games I thought were brilliantly paced because they don't force you along quickly, and it works. Now, everything about this works really well. However, and this is my big however with this game, unfortunately, is the voice acting isn't the best.
Right.
It's a little bit stilted in places, and it kind of is very, very close to immersion breaking. Not enough that I didn't see this through to the end. But there was a few points I was just like a little bit of cringe in there and sort of like going, you're so close. You're so close to getting this spot on. And this could have been big. This could have been like a Firewatch or What Remains of Edith Finch or sort of like any of the others around that time. It could have been that. Instead, it's kind of flown under the radar a bit. But yeah, I hate saying I had a good time with it because I didn't. Because it's not the sort of game you have a good time with. I had an intriguing time with it. You know, it left an impression. And I really hope, you know, the people behind this, the guy behind this, whoever it is, I can't read Cyrillic, so I couldn't tell you if this was a studio or a person. But it's a really good job overall. I would like to see more done. But I'm hoping getting a Switch release gives it a bit more exposure because it certainly deserves it. Certainly deserves it for what's been produced here. And it's very on the nose for what's happening now. Because I honestly thought it was something that was maybe cashing in on current news affairs, world affairs. But it's not. It's from 2016.
Yeah.
So...
sounds intriguing. Yeah.
That's the only way to put it. It's intriguing. It's only £6 on Steam as well.
Yeah.
Don't know how much the Switch version was. I got a code for it. It's only £6 on Steam.
How long is it?
I lost myself in it. I want to say 10 hours.
Right. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty substantial.
It's on rails. It's right. So when we say on rails, it funnels you where it wants you to go. So there are invisible walls if you stray too far and stuff like that. But it's a story-based game. It's like, you know, you don't go to the cinema and go, Tom Cruise, why are you going that way? Just stand over there for a bit. You don't get to do that. And I don't expect you to be able to have that freedom in a story-based walking simulator that's trying to tell a story. So it is linear and it does funnel you where it wants you to go. But it works in this case.
Okay, yeah. It is funny how, you know, it's not funny, it's sort of fairly understandable how the voice acting can make or break certain games. It's so crucial to some of them, and I'm going to be talking about one later that it really, really makes the game. So it's a shame. Can you change the region, or have they only recorded it in English?
I couldn't notice anything. Now, I might be wrong. I couldn't notice anything when I looked.
Yeah, it's unlikely because it's so expensive to get actors and to get it translated as well.
Yeah, and if I'm wrong, and there is, and I'll do a proper search and have a look, then so be it. But because of my vision, if there is, usually I would go, right, if it's got native Russian, that and subtitles all day long. Always done that with, like, Metro. As well, all day long. But I struggle to read subtitles at the moment, so I can't. So I had to do, like, I do need English for it.
Yeah.
So I think the translations aren't great. I think that could well be the problem. The translation into English isn't great. But I will double check. I'll do a bit of a search and find out if there is a Russian option, which, if there is, that will probably make it 10 times better.
Yeah. So, I was just going to say, I'm glad I asked because that's really points out the thing about the acting and how important the acting is, but also about the accessibility thing, because you don't have the option of reading the subtitles. You really need to go with the voice actors.
Yeah.
And so if they're not great, then that can detract quite a bit for you.
Yeah, but then I'm not going to blame the game for that. If it was a massive studio that could get in loads of like great voice actors to do it all, and they put out something that was like that stilted or badly translated, I'd have more of an issue. But if this is a native Russian, Ukrainian, whatever developer, and they're having to do all that work themselves, I forgive that, and I get that. But it does need to make sure it does have the option of being able to play it in Russian, because I say Metro 2033, the first one I played, it's night and day. When you have Russian voices compared to English voices, it's a night and day difference in the game.
Yeah.
and I think I played, was it Partisans 1940 something or other on stream last year or the year before. And, you know, that had some English actors doing stuff, and that was just really immersion breaking. But overall, it's £6. It's well worth giving a shot. You know, hopefully give this team, this person, whatever it is, a boost, and do it through there. I mean, you can get it from itch.io as well, I believe, as well. So it's in a few different places. Yeah, interesting game. Interesting.
Cool. Yeah, no, it sounds it.
So, what's next from you?
Well, I've only really been playing one other game, but I've been carrying on playing Monster Hunter Stories 2, the RPG.
Yeah.
I've been playing that since we started. Yeah, I started around just after Christmas or beginning of January because it's massive. I just wanted to give a shout out to it to say, you know, it's still fantastic. It's really big, so I haven't finished it yet, but I'm still playing it. But other than that, the only thing that I've been playing is obviously a huge release, and you know, it's the only thing you're going to be talking about on February 25th, which is today, and that's Horizon Forbidden West. Yeah, no, as we said earlier, I've been playing Elden Ring. And mainly because I don't really get on with From Software games. They're very, very, very divisive games. And I think the majority of people like them. But the people who dislike them, you know, again, as normal, it's a Marmite thing. You know, and I've tried very, very hard. I just couldn't do it. And why am I talking about Elden Ring when it's not the game I'm playing? Well, just because I think there would be a big gap where people are like, you know, doing that meme from Pulp Fiction where John Travolta's sort of looking around going, where's Elden Ring? Yeah, exactly. So just to explain,
I've got an idea. Whenever Elden Ring's not on the podcast, the presenter should be going, where's Elden Ring?
Exactly.
Simpsons reference.
Yeah, that's right. No, but it's our Poochie, where, you know, it's probably never going to feature.
Elden Ring went back to its home planet and crashed on the way.
Yeah, that's the one. Died on the way back to its home planet. No criticism of Elden Ring. It's just, you know, it's not something Brad and myself are at all bothered about.
Elden Ring, the sequel, Poochie Chronicles. There you go. Someone mod Poochie into Elden Ring.
That sounds really good. Yeah. Now I do want to play it. Anyway, what I have been playing, and I just missed out on speaking about last week's podcast, is Horizon Forbidden West. And I've got a lot to say about this game. I will start by saying I'm playing it on base PS4, not PS5. And not even a PS4 Pro. And it looks absolutely phenomenal. Like, I mean, the original game looked absolutely amazing. Yes. But it's kind of off the scale how good it is. I mean, it's one of those, the console itself is nearly 10 years old. When it came out, it was made it was made with off-the-shelf components. It wasn't oh my God, it's like the PS2, you know, kind of really bespoke, really advanced chips and all that. Nope, it was, you know, a fairly decent mid-range kind of a thing. It's mid-range, 10 years old, and it still looks absolutely phenomenal. The work that Guerrilla Games have done is just, I can't really even get my head around it. So everything that you'd think about what you need to keep the game immersive and interesting when you're playing such a long game is there. So it has lots of different environments. It's got loads of different weather effects. The terrain always changing, but subtly. You know, it's got mountains. It's got caves. It's got cliffs. It's got hills. It's got flatland. It's got underwater sections. It's got high peaks that you can jump off of. Everything that you would want to make an environment, and like crafted as well. So all the areas are properly crafted. They don't feel like, this is this texture just put in this thing. It actually feels like it's been constructed to be an exciting playground. And I read something the other day where somebody said, you know, you might play, these games are they're like visiting Disney World or Alton Towers. They're somewhere you only go once a year. You know, you only play one of these games a year because they're so vast and they're so comparatively expensive. And when you're in them, you want them to be kind of everything, and it really delivers on that. So it's got absolutely everything you would want from the sequel. It's got new characters, it's got new, as I say, environments. But what it does that really excels and what it takes it to a different level, level games, is the fact that the acting and the script is fantastic. And not just that you get interested in the characters because it's got a great script. It also makes sense and there are stakes. So it's not just fetch quests and then you're doing the main story, which is really predictable. For a start, it's got a really unpredictable main story, and not a kind of twisty M. Night Shyamalan just but no, it's this, unsatisfying thing. It's like almost like real life in that you start down a path and that always changes. You can't dictate or predict. So it's got that, and it's got the side quests which are more predictable, but they tie into the personality of the person who's given them to you and also the overall game world. So even though they are, or you basically go in to collect this object or explore this area, there are so many, not just so many game mechanics that you can employ to give it variety. Yeah. But the character that you're speaking to, their story, their dialogue, and the acting performance all gives you a real cohesive sense, and it really makes you immersed in it, and it propels you forward because you want to see what happens and how this changes the events and the story. So it really nails that. It nails it so well. So it's done all of that really, really excellently. But I'll take a breath. There's loads to say more about it, but I'll take a breath here and see what you think of what I've said so far.
Yeah, no, it's first of all, I love Horizon, the first one. Mine's gone blank on what the subtitle was for
Zero Dawn.
Zero Dawn, yeah. Absolutely loved that game. I thought Aloy is an amazing character. Almost, I want to go... You feel that she could become PlayStation's next Lara Croft in terms of iconic over the next few years.
Yeah.
However, what I had issues with was she was a bit too perfect in design. And it wasn't anything I looked at and just like, oh my god, like why have they made her so perfect? But it's when I look back and just went, she had like, there was flawless skin and she had like great hair and stuff like that in the original game. It wasn't an issue because, he's still doing things, but it's like I hope they developed her. And I'll let you carry on before, so I'll come to more points with that. But everything you're saying so far is I can't play this because I don't have a PS4 at the moment. But I want to play this because I loved the first game. My hope is that the first game came out on PC, this comes out on PC, because it just looks so right up my alley. And when you talk about storytelling and the path you go for, I'm hoping this is more what we see when we talk about mature content in video games, that they could tell a nuanced story that just doesn't rely on, it was all a dream, or you'll never guess what, one of the big robot monsters was her mum all along, or anything like that, where it's got to go some stupid twist. So I'm hoping that for what you said so far, that the story's nice and nuanced, that it feels human in a way, because I think when you're in a game that's got massive mechanical creatures in it, and it's a lack of a human race, so the humanity part of it is vital, and the first game had that. So I'm hoping, by what it sounds like you said so far, that's really there in this game as well.
It is. Now, no matter what, I think no matter who approaches it, and no matter what they think of the game itself, I don't think anybody could complain about the story. I think it's, and the way that story is presented and the narrative, I think it's just for me, it's one of the most smooth and nicely produced stories in games. So, there's a real impact to everything that's happening. The way that the actual central concept of what you're doing is very different, really, from Zero Dawn. So in the first game, you're kind of, you grow up and you're kind of an ordinary sort of tribes person, and then you get this access to information that changes the world, and you have to do things that make sure that certain things happen and certain things don't. Yeah. Whereas this one is more
amazing allegory in that first story, by the way. Yeah,
absolutely. And in this one, it's even more about the people, more than it is about the past or the technology. Yeah. It's more about who's doing what and why, and how that affects the world, and another big allegory for what's going on in the world as well. And I won't go into any more detail than that, but it is all personality driven, and there are characters that are petty bureaucrats, and there are characters who are ordinary sort of like tavern workers and cooks, and there are right through to there being warriors and tribes people and farmers, and each one of them has their own character and personality. It doesn't try and put jokes in the mouths of everybody or make everybody serious, or all of those immature writing things that a lot of game studios do.
Almost like in real life, there's lots of people with lots of different personalities.
Precisely. The best thing that they do is weave all of that together into something that feels real, and they do it via Aloy being the quote-unquote saviour. So you get a big polarised kind of three-way split of the people who see her as the saviour and therefore trust her and bring her into their world. Then there's the people who don't know her, and that leaves things open for, will it be conflict, or will there be an accord? And then there's the people who have their own agenda and resent her, and they're either the out and out enemies, or they're sort of bureaucrats who because she's got so much power and she's trying to do the right thing, they distrust her and they don't want her to have that kind of influence. And just the fact that you can talk about that kind of level of sophistication in a game is really unusual. So driving that story on, I'm going to talk about the gameplay really briefly in terms of what you do moment to moment.
Yeah, because I don't care how good, in a game like this, I don't care how good the story is, the characterisation, if the gameplay doesn't hit home. Yeah.
So, absolutely, and it's what brings in my only real criticism as well, so it's very important as well. So it's obviously very, very similar in gameplay to the first game. Mm-hmm. It has new wrinkles that are in the trailers and everything, so I can tell you about the glider, but I mean that everyone was like, oh yeah, it's just going to be like Breath of the Wild. It's not. It's taken a couple of things from Breath of the Wild, but very, very little. It feels like a legitimate sequel without stealing from Zelda, and it's got swimming mechanics and a few other little bits, but they just enhance the gameplay from the first. They don't fundamentally change it. The biggest change is the number of weapons. So like the way that you approach fights now can be very different, because you can add lots of different elemental effects to your weaponry. You've got different types of range. You've got different effects that are more pronounced than the first, like tearing body armor off versus penetrative weaponry and all of that. And there's loads of other types of weapons. So fundamentally it doesn't really change, but it adds a bit more nuance and a bit more sophistication. That, and also, there's loads more sort of, there's loads of gathering still, and there's loads of crafting, and there's lots of clothing you can change into and all that sort of stuff. So my only criticism so far, and I must be at least 20 hours in, maybe more, is the weaponry. So there are a lot of weapons with a lot of different things, and it does occasionally, certainly at the level my character's at, fall into a thing of, you need to switch to this weapon to do this, and then switch to that weapon to do that, and mid-fight break in to do this, and this ability is what I really need for that. And that can be a little bit break the flow a little bit. I think perhaps there's a few too many weapon choices and a few too many adjustments, and I think it could have narrowing it down and leaving it closer to the previous game, I think would probably have been the better choice from that. However, that said, you can just brute force it and do your levelling up in stuff that you appreciate and kind of, get around it a little bit like that.
So, couple of questions, or just a question really, on the weapons and the technology, and probably fits into the story a bit. I assume this is not set directly after the end of the first one.
It's set very soon after it. I think 3 weeks or maybe a little bit more.
Oh, really?
But after the end of the Frozen Wilds, which I haven't played. So it incorporates the DLC, the Frozen Wilds.
Yeah. Okay, because what I was going to say, because based on Aloy's looks and everything, which will come to that whole discussion as well, I assumed quite a bit of time had passed, and I was going to say surely the added weapons and everything would make sense in terms of their development, like off game. In the time that's passed, they would have developed this technology to give her access to more weapons. But if it's only a few weeks, I'm with you. I'd rather they kept something close to the limited weapons you had in the first.
Yeah, I mean, it works in one way in that obviously she's built up all these skills and this weapon set.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult. One of the things that they trip over, like at the beginning of Metroid, where they strip all of your powers, it's very difficult to make a new game where you need to still, go up a skill tree and you need to develop and improve and, gain your XP. But at the same time, make it narratively true to the first game where you've already learned all of those skills.
Yeah.
And it does kind of sidestep it from that by going, okay, well, the previous enemies are still there and you still use the same stuff, and you are, a little bit, your baseline is a bit lower than in the previous game where you will have leveled up loads, but not in a way that kind of makes you feel like it's totally disregarding it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it very quickly adds new enemy types that are very, very tough and don't really take any damage from the standard weaponry, and they need the special weaponry to, and it's not even like really, it's just kind of like it deals with it really well narratively. So you're in a new area with new loot to scavenge. So you're in a completely different geography to the first game, and there are people, there are salvagers, there are new, creature types, and it makes sense that there's technology that you've not had access to. So narratively, it works like that. My only issue with it is that they could have gone, okay, well, we've got 2 or 3 new types and they branch off in these sorts of ways and we incorporate them like this. Whereas I feel like because they want it to be more sophisticated and to have more options, they've gone, well, there's this branching path of 6 new weapon types and each one can have 3 or 4 different, adaptations, and switching between them on the fly is a little more clunky than it should be. So narratively it works. I think just moment to moment it can, but I don't want to overstate it. It's not game breaking.
Oh yeah, it's all little bits. Yeah. I would like to see a game in a series like this. Actually, I always wish Assassin's Creed would have done it as well. Have the absolute balls to not go for the gaming trope of, oh, this has happened and you've got to start from scratch again. That in a sequel you go like, look, you're armed up to the eyeballs because you've skilled up. So we're going to pop you into this game, assuming that you're playing the sequel because you played the first, and you're tooled up to the eyeballs because you've already got all that stuff, and not also have to rely on skill development. Find other ways to develop characters. Maybe you developed your physical skills in the first game, and the second game could be more about developing, while still doing all the fighting and everything, but developing your social skills through it, and that's what your skill tree is, something different, because that every game, even the best ones, still fall into this, we've got to level up all of this, we've got to find a way to start from scratch again, and it's a trope I've just got a little bugbear with. It's not game breaking or anything or on any of them, it's just like I just want to see someone have the balls to just do away with the character development that there is. No, I get that totally. I think, as I say, the way they incorporate it in this game is probably the best it's ever been done, or at least it's on the top tier with all the ones that have done it that well. As I say, there's no sort of dissonance between the narrative and the way that you use weaponry. The people that you talk to are like it reveals why this part is available or this ability is suddenly coming to the fore.
very, 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 very well. It's literally just some moments of gameplay where it's a little bit clumsy in terms of switching weaponry, but I'm willing to have that trade-off simply because the sense of discovery and the level of design and the intelligence of the way that they incorporate that design into the world is just so good. You know, the weapon parts that you tear off and break off from the metallic animals, the robots and stuff, and the new robot and animal types and stuff like that, and the way that it all just weaves its way in. It's just so good. It's just good. I'm really trying not to just rave about it completely, but
sometimes the game deserves it.
Yeah.
But, and here comes the but, because as with any game that has a strong female lead, we need to talk about the discourse around the game.
Yes. Yeah.
Is Aloy sexy enough for you?
It's one of the best characters. She's just one of the best characters.
She's just... Yeah. It feels like outside of games like Life is Strange or other LGBTQ plus style games or other indie games, she feels like the most realistic depiction of a woman in a video game I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. And I think that this one takes that even further, you know? It's kind of like... there's a lot... like I alluded to earlier when I was talking about... There are people who like, oh, you're the saviour, you know, you're great, you can't do anything wrong. And then because she's done such good things, there are people who hate her because of that. And it kind of plays out in a very subtle way where you can read people's reactions to her as... I'm mainly having that reaction because you're a woman. You know, the saviour should be a man. It's never explicitly stated, which I think is very clever. But there's a lot of, oh, you're the one, are you? You're the saviour, are you? But, you know, kind of like, look at you. How could you be doing that? I don't believe it. And there's this inherent mistrust. And then some characters, you know, try and kind of assert their authority by being physical with her, and she doesn't back down. And, you know, not even kind of don't start pushing her around, but they kind of like implicit threats and looming and stuff like that. So there's a lot of really clever sort of feminist touches to it that I'm really impressed with. And yeah, it's just a brilliant portrayal of you know, that. And there's a queer reading to it as well. You can read it not entirely, but you can read things of the queer experience into it as well. And I think that's very, very deliberately put in there, which is great. And
it's, I mean, the first game, I felt it handled the idea of sexuality really well in the first game, even because it wasn't, you know, there would be people in the game. Now, I remember I was walking through a village on one of them, and one of the market traders in there was making advances towards Aloy, and she just brushed him away. It was like, I'm not interested in that stuff. But not in a giddy kind of way, or you quit. It was just, I don't care. I'm a warrior. This is what I want to do, you know. Yeah. I've got this task. I'm not going to, you know, go and like put it to the side for a silly little sexcapade with you or anything like that. And I thought that worked really well. And what I like about Aloy, and this is important for me now as a father of a young, sporty, boisterous, but also quite feminine girl who will happily play princesses but go out and play football, will happily play wrestling with her brother and stuff like that. Aloy is the first time I could go to her, look, as she gets older, that's you. You can see yourself in that character. Yeah. Because girls often have prim and proper. Lara Croft, they've tried to sort of like change her over the years to make her feel more realistic, quote unquote, but she's still an icon of perfection, even in sort of like when she's like covered in mud or whatever and vulnerable. There's still that, you know, she's still got that shape, and it's like, I want to protect the kind of thing. I don't want to protect Aloy. Yeah. I feel that I don't need to protect Aloy or anything like that. But from the looks point of view, you could tell that she's been physical. She's had to work out, not through going to the gym or anything like that, but just through what she does. So her face has got the face of someone who does work out. You know, it's got muscular features to it. And she's, the first game I thought she looked a bit too much like she could be a model in the first game. That's why I wanted to bring up how much time had passed and whether that fit narratively. But her hair gets matted. Again, I don't care about the physical aspects, but it's important. She hasn't got perfect hair. It gets matted and stuff like that. And I remember seeing a complaint, and Stephanie Sterling brought it up, that one of the complaints about her, someone going, well, Aloy's got a beard. It's like, he went, no, that's just the fluff that every human being has on their face.
Yeah.
You can't see it unless you're really looking. It's just what women have. And like they pointed out that Aloy is a real woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, when I was younger, I'd look at certain female characters and sexualise them because I was a teenage boy. But I look at Aloy and I go, it's weird to be sexually attracted to a video game character anyway, but as they get more and more realistic, I get why people are. But I'm not looking at Aloy and going, I'll poster of her up in my wall because whatever. But I'm also not looking at her going, let's discuss it. It just looks like a woman you would see on the street. And that's what I want to see in video. I want to see people that you'd see on the street that don't have stand out perfect features, or look, we're gonna give her a massive scar because that's what we do. She's got a beautiful face, but she's got a massive scar. She's been through so much. She just looks normal. She's got imperfections. I like a lot of people called her fat, which I found hilarious. But her face, it's muscular because of what she does.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastically done.
Yeah.
In a way that you can't even really apply to any other action game, at least, and maybe even any other game. In that she's, you might find her attractive. You might find that character design attractive, but if you do, it's not because it's sexualized or exaggerated. It's entirely done in a way that's believable, and that extends to every character in the game. It's got all sorts of face types, body types, shape sizes. The way people dress is really important, like the costumery in it is really, really, really important. It says a lot about character. It says a lot about tribes, about our history. It has a lot of people of colour represented with, it's kind of almost a 50-50 split between, or even weighing in the direction of black people over white people.
Yep.
It feels very geographically located in that it feels like it could be at the very tip of North Africa kind of thing. So there are people of light skin and, European incursion as well as there being black people, but everybody lives together. Skin is not the issue. It's about what tribe you're part of. It's just there's so much thought put into it to make it all work.
Yeah.
And nothing more important. And those things are important, but nothing is more important than that, than making her a non-sexualized, believable female character, which they've done.
And a redhead in a lead role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great because my daughter's a redhead. That's why I said she can see herself. Like when you see sort of like a young black girl see themselves in a video game character or a movie character that have not seen before, like you see, like how some maybe saw themselves in Moana that have never seen another Disney princess before. My daughter doesn't get to see the hero as a redhead. So again, it's adding to things. It's not. No one's taken away by having Aloy. We're not stopping anyone else being anything. But again, my daughter now gets to see herself in a character and be proud that she's a redhead and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, for anyone, I am no way comparing that to centuries upon centuries of oppression or anything like that towards any other communities. Okay, but it's on an individual personal level. She's seen characters and she never gets to see herself in those characters, and it's just nice for her.
Absolutely, yes. Representation is so important.
Yeah.
Whether it's like you say, a redhead girl, or whether it's a black man, or whether it's Asian people, it doesn't matter what it is. It's really important, and just to show that we're not just virtue signaling. Oh, we're so woke. We understand all this. The point is that when you start changing these things and making them more mature and more sophisticated, everybody wins. It improves things for everybody. So if you're thinking, okay, right, well, I want this character, I want them to be representative of a certain type of woman who is not portrayed in games, in a way that isn't portrayed in games, and I want it to, her to be powerful and single and independent, but those not be her defining factors. Like, her power comes from her actions. And so when you start putting that in place and you start really thinking about how you're going to write script around it, your game then develops in a much more sophisticated way. Because you're like, well, if I'm going to bring in other people who've heard to speak to and it's not sexualized, they have to be sophisticated. And if it's going to be a storyline that's about how much power she's gained and how she then uses that and doesn't exploit it, that's got to be sophisticated. And it just has this tumble-on effect. When you actually think about what you're trying to accomplish, it has this, cascading effect of making everything better. And then everyone wins. So it doesn't matter like whether you're some like pasty white kid in a basement or whether you somebody around our age who normally wouldn't touch games, but finally there's some better representation and you decide to jump in. It doesn't matter where you are on any of that spectrum, everybody wins from it.
100%.
No, it completely rejects the beauty standard and just says this aspect of a person's face, not just Aloy, other characters, this aspect is really nice, this aspect is doesn't work with that feature that well. They're individual. They properly have proper facial characteristics, and just like with any person in real life, you can be attracted to it. There's a character in it. I think she's called Petra, who you meet up with, and she's like a friend of yours, and she's like a sort of larger. She's white.
Yep.
She looks kind of like, not to be denigrated, but like a peasant type character.
Yeah.
But she's very intelligent, she's really funny, and she drinks too much. And she's she's got
tell me Lorraine was in this.
Oh, come on now. But she's given this great kind of, even with only a few lines of dialogue, she's made to feel like a real person who you may have met.
Yeah.
And she's really, really attractive. And she's not like she's not conventionally what you would stick in this kind of game to say, oh, this is an attractive person, but she's just lovely. She's very attractive. You feel the appeal of the character.
Yeah, no, I like that. Again, without having played it and not seen the character, what you've described to me, again, is that they seem to have gone away from the, look, we're going to have a fat character for inclusion, but what's what we're going to do? They're going to be the comedy sidekick, or they're going to be the light-hearted relief. But it sounds like, again, they've created a character with nuance.
Totally, because you feel...
shows,
one of the best things about that interaction is that you get a sense that she's attracted to Aloy and wants a relationship.
Yeah.
Because she's asking, when she's coming back, and if you come back, can we actually spend a bit more time together? All the things that you would do if you were attracted to somebody, but you didn't know where the boundary was.
Yeah.
And you were trying to develop that friendship. And yeah, I can't praise this game enough. And I think that side of it, and the reason I'm going on so much, is because it's gone under the radar in reviews somewhat. It's got good reviews.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of gone under the radar a little bit, and I really want to kind of push it to the forefront.
Yeah, no, it definitely, okay, I am so close to trying to justify a PlayStation 4 to go and get this. I am so close to go, what can I do to raise those funds for a PlayStation 4 without having to spend out much money just so I can play this?
Yeah.
It's, or do I wait for the PC version in a couple of years? I don't know. It's, I loved the first game. So much so, when we was talking about, should we go to before the pandemic hit and everything, we was talking about going to Comic-Con down the lines. I was like, Edith could cosplay as Aloy. That'd be really cute and stuff like that. She was only like 2, 3 at the time, and she liked the character then. I don't know whether at 2 you could see yourself in a character, but she usually had orange hair herself. She saw that, so I don't know, but it's like, that'd be really cute. But I'd feel even more so now about this is someone that, she did get into cosplay, go as Aloy, because I don't feel you're going to a Comic-Con and people are going to be looking at you like a glorified booth babe at the same time.
Yeah, so none of it is exploitative, and every single, if there's a if there are more sexual characters, then it's done in a kind of, it's not over the top in any way, shape or form, and it's very subtle. And like you say, some people want to show more off than others, and I think the difference is you can be on the beach and there can be women in bikinis and it's not sexual. There can be somebody in a very elegant dress at a formal function who is completely covered head to toe and is incredibly sexy. Yeah. And it's all about how you're presenting yourself rather than about what you're revealing. And that,
you can have the same woman dressed in different ways depending on what the situation is. Imagine that.
I know. I know. Dressing for the climate or for the activity. God, how dare they? Get back in your kitchen, woman. So
I saw you in a pantsuit in the office. Why are you wearing a bikini on the beach?
Exactly. Yeah. You terrible hussy. But it gets that. You know, you can tell through the design language that it gets that. So I suppose we shouldn't really go on any more about it because it's been so much. But the only last thing I'll say is, sorry, I'm really dry now, as you might expect from gabbling on for half an hour. But the last thing I want to say is just on a technical level. As I said, it's amazing on PS4. Yeah. The load times, I've got an SSD in mind, so that might make a bit of difference, but the load times are really quick. It only takes about 20 seconds when you're going from one big area to another, which is uncommon. Most load times are about 8 seconds, which is incredible. Because, I mean, once you're in an area and you're moving around on foot, there is no loading at all.
That's because they still use that cone vision thing they do, where it only renders.
That's it.
A very small amount at a time, and it's the one that Kojima just went, I want that.
Yeah, seamlessly. Yeah, and also it's only 30 frames per second on PS4, but it uses motion blur so that you don't get jagged, transitions when you're switching your view around. So basically, on a technical level, I can imagine people who've got a PS5, they're like, yeah, this is a cross-gen title. But if you've got a PS4, you're like, I can't believe they're doing this. It's amazing. So, it'll look incredible on PC as well. So if you can hold out, then do, because when it gets that release, it's going to look stunning.
Yes. So, moving on. From one highbrow game to another.
Oh,
I've been playing a game called Bang On Balls. When I said I could go from one extreme to the other, we're there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Now, title aside, Bang On Balls is an early access game, which sounds like it should be Steam shovelware. Oh. But what we've got, it's far from it. It is absolutely far from it. It's in early access, and what I've played of it so far, it's only a couple of hours I've given it a go, because I want to wait and see what they do with it in early access before going too far. It's a 3D platformer where all the characters are different types of like footballs and beach balls, or just different types of balls, essentially. And it's just a collectathon. You go through doing platforming, collecting things. There's a couple of little mini games in there that work. There's a mini game where if you like your balls in your balls in your balls, there's a one where you're a ball and you've got to score goals with footballs against a giant ball goalie.
Exhibit balls.
Yeah, exhibit balls, yeah. There's puzzle games in there. There's minor combat in there, platforming. And it's just this really competent game. I was like, honestly, it needs a different title, because the title makes you think like you're going to play some absolute shovelware crap. But it's anything but. It honestly is anything but. The missions I've done are short on the whole. It's got loads of different, like, you collect things, you can get different skins. So there's one where like you could be like a Union flag. I'm not going to be a Union flag because I'm not a racist. But you got like loads of different flags. You can have loads of different patterns. You can have, there's hats in there. You could get shields, different weapons. You get pretty much wants to reward you with everything you do. The platforming is satisfactory as well. So you've got a jump button, which you can double jump once, but you can combine that with a dash to get to sort of like other places. You've got different combinations depending on what the platform is. You could do a Mario style stomp to bounce onto things, and depending on what you bounce on, it might like create a changer, like a pressure pad to open a door or whatever, or you might be like on a trampoline, it'll throw you up higher, and he's got a shield, and you have to sort of like battle it in a certain way to be able to make that ball smaller so you can take it down and open the door. Really good. And what it does, it uses like historical events as its story beats. So you go through sort of like these what are meant to be historical events, but people replaced with balls. They're not, they make a big point of this in their description, that it's a inaccurate historical events. That's putting it mildly, but it's just a lovely little game. It's a really good sidetrack game that has no right, based on its title, to be any good, but is wonderful.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I'm just checking my notes on it, and it looks very much like a Mario-inspired game, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't think enough companies try and copy Mario enough, ironically. And yeah, it's really cool. That those ball things being covered with the flag, I've seen that elsewhere. It's like, I don't know whether it's a meme or whether it's from some product or piece of entertainment or whatever.
It's probably an NFT.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but yeah, I've seen it before, so I think they're going for something with the meme.
Some kind of meme or something, isn't it? I reckon, yeah. But cool. The controls really well. I can't say enough good things about it. The one thing I would say is, do you remember the Mad Balls Babbo thingy that came out on XBLA that was crap?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, there was do you know what Mad Balls are?
No.
Oh, it's a toy from the 80s, essentially. There's like these like grotesque looking, like they were shapes of balls, and they had like these grotesque, with one had like eye popping out and stuff like that. I almost feel if they could have put the Bad Balls license to this, it would be well known in the 80s.
Right, yeah.
I don't think many people know what Bad Balls are.
Right.
It's around the time of Boglins and like the Garbage Pail Kids and stuff like that.
Gotcha, yeah.
That kind of gross out type thing, but on balls. But yeah. Just check it out. I mean, it's on Steam. How much is it? Let me just check my notes. Just over 13 quid on Steam. And do you know what? Yeah, you will get more value than that. It is in early access, so I don't know if the price will go up or whatever. But yeah, you'll gladly get that value if you just bought it now and waited for the game to be finished. Yeah, really good. Really, 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 really good.
Cool. Another one of those. I think what I'll do is wish list it and wait for Steam Deck, because it looks like a good one for handheld.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely going to wish list that one.
It's getting an Xbox release, I believe. There's no mention of Switch, which is a shame, because it looks perfect for sort of like quick, like I'm going to do one quick level while I'm sat on the bus or whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, I really like it. Against all odds, honestly. I got the code for it. I was like, why did I ask for this? Why? That's stupid of me. Then I played it, and I'm glad I did.
Nice one.
So, I take it you're done with your games.
I am.
Yeah, I don't think you've had chance to fit anything else in.
No.
Steam Next Fest is on, which is really good. I love the Steam Next Fest because you get to try out sort of like mainly indies that are coming down the line. I get to see sort of like which ones you might end up buying. Quite a lot of them. And yeah, some really good titles in there. So you mentioned Neon White, which I'm now intrigued by and I'm going to play. Is there any, while I load up Steam, remember what I've downloaded, is there any others that have stood out to you that you've played or tried yet?
Yeah, I've only had a chance to try one out other than Neon White, which is called Abris, about knocking stuff over.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's really...
Was that because of my tweet?
Yeah, that's right.
Good.
It seems really, really good. It's not really my kind of game, but for what it does, it seems excellent.
Yeah, it is my type of game, and Abris is superb. It's almost how my brain works. It's almost an insight into ADHD in a way where you want to create something. You want to be creative and structured and everything, but then that creation or whatever could just destroy everything else within your brain, because you just can't keep it all together. It's kind of a really weird one that hit me in all the right ways, but just as I'm going to build this stuff and see what destruction I can cause in these just like small singular levels. Oh yeah, I played about 4 or 5 levels of that and just went, right, no more, uninstalling it. I'm getting it.
Nice.
I am getting that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, brilliant. That one.
Oh, yeah. The graphics are amazing on that. I love them.
I love that style.
Yeah.
It's almost got a tilt shift effect to it without being tilt shift. It's
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll have a release. But a couple of others I've played that I want to bring attention to. So Great Mountain Adventure is a isometric style top down but not snowboarding and skiing game. So if you've played the likes of Steep and stuff like that, it's that but better. Basically, you ski, you snowboard on mountain resorts, you get different events you could do. It used to be out on Android, it still is out on Android. I played it on Android and just went, I need this with controller. This is perfect for Switch.
Yeah.
But the Steam, it's coming out on Switch. Demo's on the Steam Next Fest. Plays really well. Great time with it. It's high score challengers will love it. People who like exploring will love it. People who are just craving a new extreme sports game should love it. Everything about it is spot on. It's coming out on Steam, which means you'll be able to play it on the Steam Deck. I'm sure it'll be a verified game at some point. Or the Switch. Absolutely brilliant. Give that one a go. The Wandering Village is another one I've tried that I want to bring attention to. It's a city builder, and the hook on this one is you're building your city on the back of a slow moving giant beast of an animal as it goes about what it's doing. And again, it's got some stuff I don't want to ruin, and I've full disclosure, I backed this one on Kickstarter, but I've played a little bit of the demo just to see what I will be getting. Controls as you need for a city builder. If you do want to just concentrate on the city builder, you can do that, but the aesthetics around it are sublime. And another one I've played is Race Condition, and I'm unsure about this one. It's a low polygon racing game that's like taken bits from like Virtua Racer Daytona and also maybe like the Circuit Superstars or anything. It's a very arcadey racing game that's low polygon. It's got some nuance to it where you have to go into the pit lane and drive through the pit lane to refuel. The faster you go, the less fuel you take on. The slower you go, the more fuel you take. The more fuel you take on when you go slow, but obviously that can compromise your position in the race. Do you risk it and go for it? It's arcadey, very twitchy. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it will sustain it for an entire game. That's my main worry about it. But the demo, really interesting. And there's a few others I've got that I've not quite played yet. Like Doors is one I'm really looking forward to trying. It's like The Room, or like escape room type thing where it's point and click, how to unlock doors and get into them, move to another one, repeat. That looks interesting. Give that a go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've barely scratched the surface on them. I rarely get the time. There's one called Pandemic Train, which looks like a 2D strategy style game set up on a train where, there's a pandemic going on. Yeah, fine. Like, look at that one. I'll give that a go. Maybe report back on that next week. I love the Steam Next Fest from an ADHD point of view. Just I'm going to try that, going to try that, going to try that, going to try that, going to try that. And I don't have to spend money on them. I have to try it.
Yeah.
And even like Race Condition, where I'm not sure if I'm going to buy the full game, and I probably won't. I've played it and I've enjoyed it, and I'm glad I've played it and enjoyed it. That's quenched me for that one. But the others have left me wanting more. We need to see more of these across different systems, I think.
I agree. I think doing it as a festival of demos is a really, really good idea.
Yeah.
It does coalesce. It does like focus you on, what's coming out. And there's just some of the stuff that rises to the surface is so good. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is one that I've not played yet, and my plan was to play it before we recorded, but I got sidetracked with other stuff. Shock. I know.
Yeah.
It's called Golfy, which is a deck building mini golf game where each level is just this small, like, little diorama. And there seems to be like deck building elements, and you've got to obviously go around, get the best score you can and stuff like that. Looks really interesting. There's obviously a ton of like anime style games for the people that like those sort of games. Some really good looking puzzle games that are there. Obviously you mentioned Neon White. I really am going to be looking to give that a go. There's a city builder called Ixion, which looks right up my street as well. What else stood out that I've not played yet? I say we mentioned Abris, Little Orpheus. It's the demo of that. I'm not going to play that. I already know I'm getting that one. And then you've got a bunch of your simulators that are there, which some will turn out to be decent, others will turn out to be shit. But there's Autopsy Simulator, because why not? Why the hell not?
Yeah.
It feels like it should be the sequel to Surgeon Simulator, where you're that bad of a surgeon, you've now got to do autopsies. And also, someone please make a new trauma centre. I want trauma centre. But yeah, I love these. It's an ADHD sufferer's, an ADHD person's paradise.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it's great. I love it. Cascade of new stuff that you can play for free.
Yes.
Yeah, love it.
Yes. But yeah, cool. But yeah, that's it for me. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it.
We've gone on a bit, haven't we?
Just a little.
But hey, what's new?
Precisely. It's a good way of like not talking about all the big things going on in the world, so that's good.
Yeah, no one wants to talk about Elden Ring.
Everybody wants to talk about it, and I don't. So yeah.
God, I'm gonna be good. This is why I'm glad Steam Next Fest is on, because those could distract me. You could it's like, do you know when you try and distract a dog with treats?
Yeah.
It's like that for me.
Yeah.
It's like, so I keep looking at Elden Ring. I'm going, they're just going, don't look at the juicy steak. Look, have one of these. I'm like that with like, the demos are there. I think you keep distracting me. I haven't got to get Elden Ring because I know I'm going to play a bit of it and not carry on. So it's a waste of money at 50 quid.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not, completely against its charms. I look at it, I'm like, ooh, pretty graphics. I could play it for a couple of hours just to see how nice it is. It's like, no, that was such a waste.
Listen, Elden Ring, listen. Right, sit down. It's not you, it's me. It's not you, okay?
Exactly.
You're lovely, okay? You will find plenty of people out there who love you for you. Not me. It's not me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'll get to a bit where it's a bit too difficult, and then I'll put it to the side. I'll play something else. I'll probably play Tetris. You know I've always got a heart for Tetris. I can't help it, Elden Ring. Can't help it. It's my first love. And I've never been able to let go. You know that. So I'm just going to let you be with the people who deserve you.
Yeah.
Or something like that, anyway.
Yeah, well, that's a very heartfelt little speech towards the game. So, yeah, I like it.
I'll shut up now.
Right, well, that was I don't know how this will come out in the edit. I might get rid of some of the stuff that ranting on about Forbidden West for hours on hours. But, yeah, it's going to be a long one no matter what.
People will never know what you got rid of.
Indeed. I might get rid of this, and then people won't even know what I didn't...
keep this bit in for the intrigue. Has he got rid of anything? Has he not?
Yeah. That section where we talked about that murder we did, and then we cut that so that nobody would find out. Yeah. So, apart from that and covering up slight indiscretions, hopefully you can have a good week to come, even if you're playing Elden Ring, which is just punishing. I don't know why people want to play punishing games. But there you go. I hope that you enjoy your gaming, and if you have anything that you want to talk about, we can always talk to you on the Discord, which is very active and full of good conversation. Other than that, as usual, stay safe and stay sane.